Hello and welcome to lesson 12-4. In this lesson, we're going to switch away from customary units and move into metric units. So for this lesson, we're going to work on converting metric units of length. Now let's go ahead and watch our short video lesson and then jump into our notes and guided practice together.
How do you convert metric units of length? Think about this question during the lesson. The most commonly used metric units of length are the kilometer, meter, centimeter, and millimeter. Every metric unit is 10 times as great as the next smaller unit. Which is the smaller metric unit of length, the centimeter or the millimeter? Explain. The millimeter is smaller. 1 meter equals 1,000 millimeters, and 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So there are more millimeters in a meter. The distance between two towns is 3 kilometers. How many meters apart are they? To change from larger units to smaller units, do you multiply or divide?
Select your answer.
So we're still following the same rules that we followed in previous lessons. When you go from larger pieces to smaller pieces, we're going to multiply because we're going to have a larger number of those smaller pieces that will fit into the larger ones.
To change from larger units to smaller units, multiply. How does deciding whether you are changing to larger or smaller units help you recognize whether you should multiply or divide to change measurements? No matter what units are involved, multiply to change a larger unit to a smaller unit, and divide to change a smaller unit to a larger one. 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. Find 3 times 10 to the third power. So the towns are 3,000 meters apart. The distance between a kitchen and living room is 1,200 centimeters. How many meters apart are they? To change from smaller units to larger units, divide. Find 1,200 divided by 10 to the second power. So the kitchen and the living room are 12 meters apart. Now you know how to convert metric units of length.
Great job!
All right, let's get into our notes and our guided practice next. So how do you convert metric units? That's our focus question. Now, the metric system is used in most of the world, and it's another way to measure, and it's based on powers of 10 to make for quick and easy conversions. So 1 kilometer, which is 10 to the third power or 10 cubed meters, is equal to 1,000 meters. Now, why do we say 10 to the third? So it's 10 times 10 times 10, which is equal to 1,000. 1 meter is 10 square centimeters or 10 to the power of 2. That means 10 times 10. That power up in the corner, remember, tells you how many times to multiply your base number by itself. So 10 times 10, 2 times, or up here, 10 times 10 times 10, 3 times. So 1 meter is equal to 10 to the power of 2 centimeters, or 100 centimeters. And 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeters. Now we've got our chart over here, just like we saw in the video. So your 1 meter is going to be kind of your base measurement. Less than 1 meter, you have 1 decimeter. So this is the tenths, right? 1 centimeter, that's the hundredths. And 1 millimeter, that's the thousandths. So these are all less than 1. Now, for the measurements that are greater than 1 meter, we have 1 decameter, which is 10. So remember, deca, just like a decade is 10 years, or a decagon is a 10-sided shape. 1 decameter is 10 meters. 1 hectometer is 10 squared meters, or 10 to the power of 2, which is 10 times 10, or 100. So 1 hectometer is 100 meters. And 1 kilometer or kilometer is 10 to the power 3 meters, which is 1,000 meters. 10 times 10 times that 10. So notice how every metric unit is 10 times greater than the one that came before it, than, the one that's one smaller. Now we use millimeters for very, very small objects. So if you're measuring the length of a ladybug, you'll use millimeters. Centimeters are used to measure objects that are a little bit bigger, like paper clips or an eraser. Meters are for more medium length objects, like a person's height or the length of your bed, or maybe the size of your bedroom. You can measure that in meters. Kilometers are best for longer measurements. So if you're measuring the length of a football field, or a runway for a plane, or the distance between two towns or cities, or how far you fly when you take a plane ride to go visit someone in another country, those are things we measure in kilometers or kilometers. Let's take a look at our first example. Eileen plants a tree that is 2 meters tall in her yard. What is the measurement of the tree in centimeters and in millimeters? So before I solve, I want to stop and think, what do I already know? I know that 1 meter is 100 centimeters, and I know that 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. So 1 meter is going to be the 100 times 10, which is going to be 1,000 millimeters. Now, to solve, I want to convert 2 meters into centimeters. So I know there's 100 centimeters in a meter. So I'm going to do 2 times that 100, which is going to give me 200 centimeters, or 2 times 10 to the power of 2. To find it in millimeters, I'm going to do 2 meters times the 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. So that's going to be 2 times 1,000, which is going to give me 2,000 millimeters. Or I can write it using powers of 10 by saying 2 times 10 to the third power, or 10 to the power of 3. The tree Eileen planted measures 2 meters, which is the same or equivalent to 200 centimeters, which also equals 2,000 millimeters. Now remember, centimeters are 10 times bigger than millimeters. And some other key things to remember. Kilo means 1,000, and centi refers to hundreds. Milli is something out of 1,000. So 100 centimeters are in 1 meter, 1,000 millimeters are in 1 meter, and 1,000 meters are going to be in 1 kilometer. Let's look at some more examples. Which is greater? So we're going to do some comparisons for all of these. 25,365 centimeters or 30 meters. So remember, before you can ever do a comparison, you need to convert them so you're using the same units. The only way you can compare is when you're comparing the same size pieces. So I know there's 100 centimeters in a meter. So I'm going to convert my 30 meters into centimeters. So 30 times 100 is 3,000. Now here I can see right away, 25,365 is much greater than 3,000. So 25,365 centimeters is greater than 30 meters. My next one is 7,500,000 meters compared to 750 kilometers. So 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. I'm going to change that 750 kilometers into meters by multiplying it by 1,000. So 750 times 1,000 gives me 750,000. That is still significantly less than 7,500,000. So 7,500,000 meters is greater than 750 kilometers. My next example says 1,200 millimeters compared to 12 meters. Now, I already found out earlier in the lesson when we were doing examples that 1 meter is equal to 1,000 millimeters. So if I want to convert that 12 meters into millimeters, I'm going to do 12 times 1,000, or 12,000. So 1,200 millimeters is less than 12,000 millimeters, which means 1,200 millimeters is less than 12 meters. And the next example says 0.5 meters, so half a meter compared to 200 centimeters. Now, if 1 meter is 100 centimeters, half of that is going to be 50. So 50 centimeters compared to 200 centimeters, that tells me that it's going to be less. So 0.5 meters, or half a meter, is going to be less than 200 centimeters. And my last example before we get into our guided practice, how many millimeters are in 7.5 centimeters? So I know 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeters. So if I want to convert from bigger units to smaller units, I'm going to multiply. So I'm going to do that 7.5 times 10. And all that tells me is I'm going to be moving that decimal place one spot to the right when I multiply by 10. And I'm going to have 75 millimeters. Now let's take a look at those guided practice questions together. The first one says to find the number of meters in 6 kilometers, why do you multiply 6 times 10 to the power of 3? Well, when we convert from large units, like kilometers, to smaller ones, we need to multiply. So to go from kilometers to meters, we know 1 kilometer is made up of 1,000 meters, or 10 to the third power. So I would have to multiply 6 times 10 to the third power, or 6 times 1,000, to find the equivalent in meters. Number 2 says convert 12.5 centimeters to millimeters and explain how you did it. So if I'm going to go from centimeters to millimeters, I'm multiplying. And I know there's 10 millimeters in each centimeter. So I'm going to do this separately. I'll do the 12 times 10, and then I'll do the 0.5 or the half times 10. 12 times 10 is 120. 0.5 or half of 10 is going to be 5. And then I'm going to add these two partial products. And I'll find that 120 plus 5 equals 125 millimeters. So 12.5 centimeters is equal to 125 millimeters. Now, what I could have done also is I could have done 12.5 times 10. And remember, anytime you have a decimal and you're multiplying by 10, you're just moving that decimal point one space to the right. So I could have solved the question that way as well. Our next few questions are going to be conversions and comparisons. So 10 cubed centimeters is equal to how many meters? So 10 to the power of 3 is the same thing as saying 10 times 10 times 10, or 1,000. So 1,000 centimeters is equal to how many meters? Well, I know there's 100 centimeters in each meter, so I'm going to take that 1,000 and divide it by 100, and that leaves me with 10. So 10 to the third power centimeters, or 10 cubed centimeters, or 1,000 centimeters, is equal to 10 meters. Next, I have 58 meters that I want to convert into millimeters. Now, if I'm going from meters to millimeters, I'm multiplying by 1,000 because we already discovered that there's 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. So I'm going to do 58 times 10 to the power of 3, or 58 times 1,000. And that's going to give me 58,000. So 58 meters is equal to 58,000 millimeters. Number 5 says 1,000 millimeters converted to centimeters. So if I'm going from small to big, I'm going to divide. Now I know there's 10 millimeters in each centimeter. So I'm going to take that 1,000 and divide it by 10. And that tells me that I have 100 centimeters. So 1,000 millimeters is equal to 100 centimeters. For number 6, we have 3 kilometers that we want to convert into meters. Now I know 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. So 3 kilometers is going to be 3 times 1,000, or 3,000 meters. For number 7 and 8, we're going to be doing some comparisons here. So for number 7, we're comparing 9,000 meters to 20 kilometers. Now I know that there is 1,000 meters in each kilometer. So if I want to solve this, I'm going to change the 20 kilometers into meters. So I'm going to do 20 times that 1,000, and that's going to give me 20,000. So I know that 9,000 meters is less than 20,000 meters, or 20 kilometers. And the last one, we're comparing 400 centimeters and 4 meters. Now I know 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. So 4 times 100 will give me 400 centimeters. So 400 centimeters is equal to 4 meters. That takes us to the end of our guided practice questions. If you have any extra questions, let me know. Otherwise, have an amazing day. Take care. Bye-bye.